had been discharged from across the country's isolation centers in the last 24 hours in the country. The health agency noted that the country regrettably recorded 3 new COVID-19 deaths in the country. Meanwhile, the NCDC said that one of the primary ways by which infectious diseases like COVID-19 spread. The federal government on Wednesday inaugurated the Special Visitation Panel to look into the crisis rocking the University of Lagos following the removal of its Vice-Chancellor, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundepe, and the suspension of the chairman of the university's governing council, Wale Babalaki. The panel is expected to conclude its assignment and submit its report within 2 weeks. Minister of Education Malam Adama Adamu, who inaugurated the panel headed by Professor Tukur Saad on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, warned the members against interfering in the activities of the university management. He encouraged the stakeholders in the university to fully cooperate with the panel and to allow it to work unhindered. He insisted that, like he said about a month ago, when he inaugurated the reconstituted government councils of 13 federal universities, chairmen and members of the council must ensure that they do not interfere with the day-to-day administrative activities of their respective university managements. Adamu observed that rather than stabilize the situation, the appointment of an acting VC further worsened the crisis, prompting the president to set up the visitation panel. A former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, has apologized for insulting a journalist, Ayo Charles. Fani-Kayode said this in a statement on Wednesday. The former minister, however, denied allegations that he was threatening to harm the Daily Trust reporter. Fani-Kayode said he remained a friend of the media and will be the last to seek to disparage those that are honorable and noble within its ranks. The former minister had come under heavy criticism for calling the reporter stupid during a press conference in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Following warning alert received from the Niger Basin Authority indicating that River Niger has reached red alert of 6.60, the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency has warned states contiguous to the Niger River to brace up for impending flood disaster. The agency warned that it is expected that the flood magnitude cited in Niamey, Niger Republic on the 23rd August 2020 will arrive Nigeria through Kebbi State on the 6th of September and flood other states contiguous to River Niger, including Niger, Kwara, Nasarawa, Kogi, Anambra, Delta, Edo, Rivers, and Bayelsa. NHSE Director General Engineer Clement Ize, in a press statement made available to journalists, said he explained that the River Niger Basin, which covers 9 countries of Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria, has Nigeria at the lowest portion of the basin, meaning that once the upper catchment of the basin gets flooded, Nigeria should be prepared to experience flooding incident. He noted that the high intensity of rainfall during the last week of August has already saturated the soil, and any rainfall of high intensity with long duration will translate into flooding in most parts of the country. The Bauchi State House of Assembly has summoned the Secretary to the State Government SSG, Muhammad Sabi Obaba, to appear before it to explain the reason the state government has failed to act on cases of flooding across the state. This is even as the lawmakers revealed at plenary that 3 persons have lost their lives to flooding this year, while not less than 150 houses have been destroyed. The decision to summon the SSG was taken following a matter of urgent public importance raised by the member representing the Sina State constituency, Honorable Salihudi Jibir, on the failure of the state government to address the issue of flooding in the state. According to him, there was a report of rampant flooding last year across the state, which prompted the House to set up the committee that went round the local governments on assessment towers and later submitted its report. The report, Honorable Jibir stated, included the estimate of the damages, adding that the House then took the report to the executive arm, which he said did not take any action. While lamenting that the same issue of flooding across the state was raised on the floor of the House and the executive arm was sent a reminder on it, the lawmaker informed that flooding had claimed some lives in his constituency. In his contribution, the member representing Warri constituency, Honorable Yunus Ahmed, reported a similar sad story of flooding in his own constituency. Worried by the nefarious activities of smugglers, Nigerian Customs Service yesterday raised concern over the increased interest of smugglers in Jigawa State despite the closure of borders. Besides, the service lamented how communities along Barbara Axis, a town in Jigawa State, have been providing safe haven to illegal business operators that make it difficult for men of the service to track down the notorious smugglers. This was just as the Kano-Jigawa Area Command intercepted various contraband goods with total duty paid value of about 79,573,037 naira. Addressing a press conference at the command's headquarters in Kano, the area controller Nasir Ahmed at the command's headquarters alleged that the communities in Jigawa State have become notorious in allowing their towns to be used by smugglers. He urged community leaders in the area to resist the challenge while soliciting or cooperate with the customs to checkmate the activities of those who are into the illegal business and now taking the areas as safe routes. The controller stressed that despite the closure of the border, smugglers are still going all out to cripple the economy of the country, also poses grave health dangers to consumers of products as most of them have expired or contaminated with chemicals harmful to human consumption. According to him, the command has intercepted 4 trailers loaded with 1,842 bags of smuggled fertilizers with duty paid value of 13,815 naira. The news is coming to you live from the News and Current Affairs Department of Rahama Television. The news will continue after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now the news continues. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said that certain political parties have signaled their intention to conduct primaries for the forthcoming by-elections. On October 31st, 14 legislative polls will be conducted in 10 states. The conduct are for Bayelsa Central Senatorial District, Bayelsa West Senatorial District, Nganzai State Constituency Borno, Bayo State Constituency Borno, Cross River North Senatorial District, Obudu State Constituency Cross River. Others are Imo North Senatorial District, Lagos East Senatorial District, Kusofa State Constituency, Lagos Plateau South Senatorial District, Bakura State Constituency Zamfara, Ibaji State Constituency Kogi. A statement by Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner for Information, said the parties opted for indirect primaries. INEC confirmed that speakers of Enugu and Katsina State Houses of Assembly have notified it of the death of members representing Isi Uzo constituency and Bakuri constituency respectively. With their seats declared vacant, the total number of by-elections are now 14. The official disclosed that the harmonized timetable and schedule of activities have been uploaded on the Commission's website and social media platforms. And now to foreign scene. At least 46 people have been killed and hundreds of houses destroyed by flash floods as torrential rains lashed the city north of the Afghan capital, officials said Wednesday. A rescue operation was underway to free people trapped in the rubble of collapsed buildings in Charikar, capital of Parwan province, which was hit by heavy rain overnight. The Ministry of Public Health said in a statement that at least 46 people have been killed in Parwan and about 80 injured. Wahida Shakar, spokeswoman for the region's governor, put the death toll at 66, with more than 90 people injured and over 500 houses destroyed. Images on social media networks showed cars and cars floating along street filled with muddy water. President Ashraf Ghani ordered emergency relief to be sent to Charikar, the presidential palace said in a statement. The international community increased pressure on the military junta that has seized power in Mali as the organization Internationale de la Francophonie suspended the nation from its membership Tuesday. Its leadership agreed the move at an extraordinary session held via video conference, while adding that it will maintain any cooperation that will help the civilian population and a transition to democracy. The decision came a day after envoys from the West African bloc ECOWAS and the new military rulers said they had failed to agree on a timetable to return Mali to democratic rule. The OIF also called for the liberation of the ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who stepped down from power last week after the military revolt, saying he wanted to avoid bloodshed. The international community has already condemned the August 18 coup, and ECOWAS has suspended Mali from its ranks. Rwanda has issued an international arrest warrant for a top former Rwandan military official, Alois Nturagbo, who is under investigation in France over his role in the country's 1994 genocide, which claimed 800,000 lives. France opened a probe into alleged crimes against humanity by Alois after he was found in the suburb of the city of Orleans, about 100 kilometers southwest of Paris. French investigative news site Mediapart tracked down the former Rwandan spy chief, who had been identified by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda as one of the architects of the genocide. Neither the ICTR or Interpol, France or Rwanda were actively seeking him now and has dropped arrest warrant years ago. The revelation of his whereabouts came barely 2 months after a most suspected genocide architect Félicien Kabuga was arrested on the fringes of Paris. Kabuga, who evaded police in several countries for 25 years, is accused of financing the genocide. North Korean state media on Wednesday showed leader Kim Jong-un at a meeting of a top committee issuing warnings about the coronavirus and a looming typhoon following international speculation over his state of health. Kim's comments came amid conjecture over his condition after South Korea's spies agency said he had delegated some authority to his sister, Kim Yo-jong, to relieve his governance stress. A former aide to late South Korean President Kim Dae-jung even said on Facebook he thought the North leader was in a coma, though with no apparent evidence. The impoverished North, whose crumbling health system would struggle to cope with a major virus outbreak, has not confirmed a single case of a disease that has swept the world since first emerging in neighboring China. Pictures in the Randong Sinmun newspaper showed Kim addressing the meeting, wearing a white suit and in one image apparently smoking a cigarette. Survivors and families of victims of a mosque shooting in New Zealand have spoken against gunman Brenton Tarrant in the third day of a 4-day sentencing hearing. There was a sense of grief, but also one of defiance in the air as almost 90 people spoke about the incident that killed 51 people in Christchurch. Dozens more were injured when Tarrant opened fire on 2 mosques last year. He has chosen not to speak in court before his sentencing on Thursday. The 29-year-old Australian has pleaded guilty to 51 counts of murder, 40 attempted murders and 1 charge of terrorism. He faces life in prison, possibly without parole, a sentence never before imposed in New Zealand. And that's all we have on the news today. But before we go, let's take a recap of the major headlines. We've heard that President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated 12 new permanent secretaries for the Federal Civil Service. We have also heard that the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC has confirmed 252 new cases of COVID-19 pandemic outbreak in the country. We have also heard that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said that 13 political parties have signaled their intention to conduct primaries for the forthcoming by-elections. And from the foreign scene, we've heard that at least 46 people have been killed and hundreds of houses destroyed by flash floods as torrential rains lashed a city north of the Afghan capital. On behalf of the entire production crew, I remain Aisha Tayi Ibrahim saying thank you for watching and goodbye for now.
yanzu haka